Welcome to SchoolQuizz.com. So today we are going to continue with the topic that we have started in the previous lecture, that was discursive passage from your class 10 CBSE. Okay, so let us begin. Okay, so we have studied the definition of discursive passage, right? Discursive writing expresses opinions. It can be argumentative, that is, it may give reasons and explanations and cause and effect relationship. Passages of this kind are analytical. Sometimes the author represents his views with great depth of reasoning or force of argument with the intention of convincing the reader to his point of view. Such texts have great persuasive power. Okay, so I hope I'm clear, right? Moving on, we have read this passage, we have read the questions. Now I'm going to give you the answers of these questions. Okay. So okay. So answers. First one, what was the question? Why are fizzy and sugary drinks blamed for osteoporosis? Okay. These drinks are often a substitute for a glass of milk, which led to osteoporosis. We have read this in the passage. How do bones get weak? Insufficient intake of milk leads to calcium and vitamin D deficiency. Lack of exercise and sedentary lifestyle also contribute to make our bones weak. See, we have read this in the passage. See, in this one, bones tend to suffer fractures. Spread awareness about crippling whole framework. Okay. So we have read all the answers. It's from the passage. You have to find out from which the answer is coming from. Then does osteoporosis become apparent? Why it is called fatal? It becomes apparent at old age. We have read this also. It is called fatal because up to 25% of the older people who suffer from a broken hip die within a year. Okay. Fourth one, what was the question? How does osteoporosis affect us? Now we have studied it causes loss of height, pain in joints and back, fractures and fear of fractures, and can be very depressing. Okay. Which society is spreading awareness about this bone crippling disease? Now which society? Indian Society. Indian Society for Bone and Mineral Research is spreading awareness for this. What are bone friendly habits? So bone friendly habits are exercise, get enough sunlight, and have adequate calcium. Okay. Now it is said that what is the meaning of deadly? We have to find the meaning of deadly, the passage, which indicates the same meaning. So fatal means deadly. Fatal means what? Deadly. Last answer is chronic. Let's see what is this. The disease is chronic. Pick up the word from the passage, which could be synonym for continuing. Continuing means chronic. The disease is what? Chronic. Okay, so I hope you are clear with it. Moving on towards our next passage, I'm not going to read the passage first. In this, I'm going to use the method that I taught you in the last lecture. What I'm going to do, I'm reading the questions first. Okay. What are the reasons for child marriages in India? How can the provisions of the legislation be rigorously practiced? One, that are recommendations of the Committee of the Status on the Women. Why is it often difficult to establish the age of male or female legally? Which act makes child marriage a grave offense? Which is the day of parents of minor girls in Rajasthan? Find the word in the passage which means most vital part of an issue. Find the word in the passage which means worry. Okay. So now I have read the question once, but you will not get the clear response when you are reading the question once. So what you have to do, you have to read the questions twice so that you will remember the questions. You have that question stuck in your mind. While you are reading the passage, you will focus on the points which are related to the questions and suddenly you will get the answers. It's like a magic, you know. So first one, what are the reasons for child marriages in India? How can the provisions of the legislation be rigorously practiced? Okay. Recommendations of Committee on the Status of Women. Why it is often difficult to establish the age of male or female legally. Which act makes child marriage a grave offense? Which is the one day for parents of minor girls in Rajasthan? Find the word in the passage which means most vital part of an issue. Find the word in the passage which means what? Worry. Okay, now we are clear with the questions, I hope. If you are not clear, you can read size, but that's enough. Not more than that because you don't have enough time. Okay. Going on to reading the passage. Okay. Let's start. Child marriages are important rampant in North India. The curse continues to blight the lives of the people as the country strengthens the threshold of 21st century. Now we had a question related to this. Going on towards that. Just wait a second. Okay. What are the reasons for child marriages? First one, because it is the rampant of North India. This is children are bound by marriage, are victims of blind customs and superstitions. Nothing seems to stop the anti-practice socials in 1929, which act is passed 1929, Child Marriage Act 1929, which makes child marriage a grave offense. This was a question, we have studied this. Okay, so answer will be Child Marriage Act passed in 1929, which act was written over the question. Now, why do marriages take place all end? All end would be wean the people away from the practice. Okay, this is also in the question. I hope you can see. You can write down the questions if you have any issue, and afterwards you can read the question and solve. Why do marriages takes place at all, and what could be done to wean the people away from the practice? The evil thrives because of the illiteracy. Why this happens? Because of the illiteracy and other related causes. This can be the reasons why the child marriage is happening. The most important of which is anxiety of parents to marry off their daughters as early as possible. In many states where illiteracy is high, like in Rajasthan, the practice of child marriage is in vogue, means it is in fame. What is celebrated? Akha Teej is the day for the parents of minor girls. On that day, they seek salvation from the anxiety of going from their mindset. See, we have studied that which day is for the girls of Rajasthan, like that one day. So that is called as Akha Teej. We have to write down in the answer section. Okay. Now, a child marriage is less likely to take place if the parents are literate or at least the father is. He is then aware of the legal minimum age and health hazards his daughter will face by an early marriage. If a mother otherwise literate has been exposed to the importance of family planning, so she is also likely to solemnize her daughter's wedding at the age below the legal minimum. Okay. So I hope you are understanding. And I hope you are having answers in your mind because you have read the questions. Okay. Among the other factors causing parents to give away young daughters in the marriage is the need felt by families having more than one daughter to keep wedding expenses down. Now they want to not have more than one daughter. Why? Because the wedding expenses can be cost. By marrying two daughters at least at the same time, parents save on expenses. Okay, if they have more than one daughter, what they do? They try to marry the two daughters at once. Whatever age difference they may possess, they don't care. Parental anxiety about a grown-up 14 years and above daughters going to ashtray forces to less educated to give away their female children in marriage. Now law was amended. There was a law, okay, for the marriage. Why there was law? Because so that we can follow and not get early marriage. It is an offense as we have studied. Okay. So the existing law was amended in 1978, raising from the minimum age of marriage from girls to 15 to 18 years and boys from 18 to 21 years. Committee on the Status of Women in its report 1974 had recommended that all offences under the Child Marriage Restraint Act should be made cognizable and special officers have been appointed to the enforced law. Government, however, did not pay right to raise the system minimum age of marriage. At the same time, there is no foolproof system of registering births, and thus there is no legally enforceable method for establishing the age of male or a female. I hope you are getting this. This is also in the question. Okay. The committee also recommended, what committee recommended? That a girl should be entitled to deputy child marriage on attaining maturity, even if such marriage was consummated. Means if they got married in the earlier age, she won't go to the household of the family where she got married. When she will get mature, after that she is going to go to that place and have the marriage consummated. But this remained only a hope which was never implemented by any law or its true spirit. It has never been appreciated that what is needed in a social action, especially by a social activist and organization, so that the provisions of the legislations are rigorously practiced. Now, this was also a question. You have to write the answer from this paragraph, okay? The crux of the problem is that girl child in the traditional rural areas is caught in the situation which is predetermined and predestined. A role is circumstanced around. Okay. So I hope you got this one. Now I hope you have got all the answers from this. Okay. So let us read the answers first as we have studied them. Okay. So what was the first question? What are the reasons for child marriages in India? Blind customs and superstitions. As we have read, anxiety of the parents. So these are the reasons. Second question, what was it? How can the provisions of legislation can be rigorously practiced? The provisions of legislation can be rigorously practiced if the social activists and organisms stood up and took some actions. Okay. We are reading the answers. You can read the questions later. The committee had recommended that all the offences under the Child Marriage Restraint Act should be made cognizable and special officers appointed to enforce law. A girl should be entitled to repudiate a child marriage on attaining maturity, even if such marriage was consummated. We have read this. Okay. It is often difficult to establish the age of the male or female legally, as there is no foolproof system of registering births and thus no official enforceable method for establishing it. We have read this too. Child Marriage Act. I told you which act was that. Child Marriage Act of 1929. It makes a grave offense. Which day? Akha teaches the day for the parents of the minor girls in Rajasthan. Okay, now crux and anxiety. For that, I have to read the question to you. Find the word in the passage which means most vital. Vital means crux. Okay. So means worry. Worry means anxiety. You have anxiety issues. That means you are worrying for that thing too much. Okay. So I hope we are clear with this passage. You try to solve and show me in the next lecture. Till then, take care.